fresh locked in, we may see something like a Jinx Annie coming in for the first two picks for Fnatic. It's what they used when they destroyed Gambit in the very first game of the split. And you can see ROCCAT shaking their head. Xaxis isn't sure what he wants to lock in because this is a difficult decision to make.
Lee Sin being hovered over right now. Both of the junglers have played Lee Sin. Actually, I tell a lie. Cyanide's not played Lee Sin this season so far, but he definitely can play Lee Sin. We saw it in last split as well. And as I say that, we can just forget it all because it's going to be Gragas. Which could be top lane, jungle, or mid lane from what we've seen so far this year.
Knowing ROCCAT, it'll be jungle or mid, realistically. Yeah, top lane tank, Gragas didn't work for Kevin, and I don't think we'll be seeing that too often. The fact that we see Flash teleport on Xaxis already makes me inclined to think it could be a Mundo. It's something they have run before, something they've done very well with, and I think the way this pick and ban phase has gone, there's a number of sort of champions, especially around the jungle, that got taken away. Elise was removed from Jankos, Vi was taken away from Cyanide, and this will be the first time we're going to see Cyanide on one of champions that's not those two. He's only played Vinally so far this split.
So, running the clock down on this one and looking very concentrated, and not too much talk really between the Fnatic guys, which tells them that they are running the clock down, but knowing probably what they want to be picking up from this one. The Lee Sin, we saw ROCCAT actually hovering over it earlier on, possibly as a bait for Fnatic.
Yep. I would say Jinx. I think if I were Fnatic right now, maybe locking that Jinx in, favoring the Annie over Jinx. It's an okay choice. Celeba's not necessarily trained towards Jinx. He's been focusing more on the Caitlyn. So if ROCCAT decides to sort of steal, then we know Reckless will most likely fall back to Caitlyn. It's the pick that we see more people play if it's not Lucian or Jinx. I'm not believing it.
If it was any team except ROCCAT who brought Mordekaiser to the yard, then I'd say no, but I don't know. Heimerdinger being hovered over. I don't expect that one coming out. I would love to see Heimerdinger being brought in a top-of-the-table clash where one team sat at a perfect record, the other one losing only one game, and whoever wins this one goes top of the table. I don't see it happening. Rammus is another one which is actually becoming a little bit more popular, but still I don't quite feel it.
No, not this time around. With Trundle being locked in now, we can assume that that's going to be a Trundle top lane, so we're already sure of what that matchup's going to be. Knowing that Soaz is not necessarily playing the meta champs, if I can even use that terminology, he could default to the Renekton. It's something we're seeing him play a fair amount. Or if he wants to go for the safe pick, go for the Shen that we've been seeing him playing a couple of times already. And once again, Celevar, sticking to what he knows. He's played that Caitlyn 5 times already, and this is going to be the 6th match.
And leaving that support until their last round of picks here, which is a little bit intriguing for ROCCAT. So they're going to be picking up other priority picks, obviously, from their side of things. We can see that Reckless, does he want Jinx? Does he want Lucian? I think it's going to be Jinx.
I think that would probably be the option he's going to go for. You know, he's had great success with it. I think he's still unkilled on Jinx in the LCS split. I'll have to verify that stat right now, but I'm pretty sure on that one.
3 games played, no deaths.
And when comboed with Annie, it's such a powerful, you know, burst, shutdown composition. The reason we haven't seen ROCCAT lock in a support yet is because Annie's already off the board. So they know they can leave it to last. They know they've got that time to play with. And we actually do see the Dr. Mundo for Soaz. So he's going to go for that tanky top. I think in terms of battling, we're going to have another extremely high-skilled top lane matchup between tanks.
I like that you put it that way. Well done. But for ROCCAT now, what do they end the lineup off with? The AD carry going to be Caitlyn. Trundle's going to go into this top lane. We've got Gragas for the middle. What are they going to pick up to really pushing this one? You know, your mind says Thresh to go in there with that Caitlyn. Who is Jankos going to jungle though?
Most likely Pantheon. I actually think this Pantheon should be locked in. It is something he has run already and did use very well. The Pantheon sort of Grand Skyfall, in conjunction with the likes of an explosive cast from Gragas, can actually mitigate some of that risk factor. You realize where they are, enemy tries to get away, you knock them further back, and all of a sudden Pantheon's still behind them. So I like that combination. They're actually going to swap, which means I'm thinking this is... almost Grungle. Almost Grungle. If it had stopped. But nevertheless, it's going to be Pantheon jungle.
It was close. But it is going to be Pantheon jungle in that one. And I was hoping that happened because then I'd be alright with that Gragas going somewhere else.
Just very quickly, depending on the squishy mid laner that Fnatic's going to lock in now, they could actually put Gragas in the jungle and put Pantheon mid. If he's going up against an AP champion that's fairly squishy and spell-based, like a Ziggs, like a Gragas, you can pick Pantheon into that and try to get killed. So I actually think this is quite smart from ROCCAT, having that ability, and we'll see when they shuffle them around, who's going to sit where?
And I wonder if they were almost baiting them into that there by flicking between Pantheon and Ziggs and Cian. But in the end, actually, Pecky got to go for the Orianna. He played it in the opening game of the season against Gambit, ended 10-1-7 with that one, which is a phenomenal scoreline. Whether he can do the same here against ROCCAT, different story.
It's going to be a lot more difficult, but it's actually something that we've seen Gambit falling back to. They put the Orianna in the mid because it's a good responsive champion. You can play aggressive, you can play defensive. It didn't work for Gambit because they didn't have a jungler that can make an impact. Shen was reliant on the lanes. Lee Sin is very different. Cyanide can move around the map, he can make kills happen, and I prefer this setup here for Fnatic. But as we touched on, it is looking like it's a Gragas jungle and Pantheon mid, because Pantheon has got some good kill potential on Orianna if they leave it this way for the next 10 seconds.
Well, let's see, 10 seconds, still a long time for things to switch around as fate has told us on many occasions before, but that's going to be coming up. We'll keep you informed on that one. But as we load into the Rift, let's take a look at the vote that you guys have been putting together online at lolesports.com, and I can tell you that 69% of you have picked Fnatic to take the victory here over ROCCAT.
Another fairly one-sided matchup, and I actually think from everybody we've been talking to in terms of production and then the casters, we all sort of feel like Fnatic's experience should help them secure this win. The only way that I can see it maybe going the other way is if Overpower gets a good lane against Peke. With that Pantheon, if he gets ahead that he can start killing the very squishy team of Fnatic, I actually think that's going to be their way, their key to victory.
Yeah, and another thing is that I honestly feel that people are underestimating, or not underestimating because there's a 5-0 Fnatic, but almost looking by them right now because ROCCAT have been so strong and such a surprise package almost in these first 2 weeks. And I think Fnatic are feeling still very confident. But also on that same token, ROCCAT saying that, no, we're going to lose against Fnatic, we're going to lose against Fnatic. I don't fall for that.
You don't know how much to read into it. You know, something that I think Fnatic actually demonstrated last year during the spring split was when they had a lead and they were sitting at the top and everyone was saying, you know, Fnatic, they were losing games to the Copenhagen Wolves back then. You know, I was actually chatting to Deficio about it, and it was just saying, like, the mindset, as a team, you can actually get into a position where you're like, hey, we're number one, everyone's afraid of us. We don't have to try as hard because we've got that psychological edge. And Fnatic have made these mistakes in the past, so we'll have to see how they handle themselves in this game.
Well, I can see there ROCCAT looking ready to go. Smiles on their faces, and why not? They are doing, I think, I'm not sure how they see this. Are they doing better than what they expected to be doing at this stage of the season for Fnatic? Spring split champions, summer split champions as well. Last year had a great run at Worlds as well. I mean, Sammy said, the manager of Fnatic, we didn't really need to change much. Funnily enough, they changed their AD carry, and it was a changed lineup in the second split of last year as well. So things did change on paper as well, but their success so far has been on the same lines.
Yeah, and I think it's deserved. They've had the performances to back up the claims of being one of the best European teams. If we're going to be very honest, it is mostly in the LCS circuit and when playing for Worlds, because at IEM Cologne and at Battle of the Atlantic, Fnatic were terrible. They didn't perform well. It was not the same team. So we see where their focus is, and we'll see if they can defend that title now against the upstarts ROCCAT.
Well, here we go then. We're into game, and it is the battle of the day, really. ROCCAT versus Fnatic. Let's give this one another try. We are in game now for ROCCAT versus Fnatic, the match which will send one of these teams, or keep Fnatic even, in the top spot here in the 2014 European LCS Spring Split. Which way it's going to go, I have no idea at this point. What we're going to be finding out in the next half an hour or so.
Well, the one thing I want to highlight immediately is Reckless has started with a sweeping lanes. Xaxis and Soaz, the tank battle is incredibly exciting.
I don't count it out just yet. All right, counting it out now. Obviously, they're not going to kill each other. Xaxis having a bit of a dance. And Soa's just going to throw cleavers at his face where he can.
I don't know if this is a European term, but apparently if you're dancing and you hurt somebody, it's bad manners. And I don't know if this is American to call it BM or not. I don't know if you guys know it, but that was BM by Soaz, throwing a cleaver in the face of Trundle.
Yeah, I know the feeling. You just want to have a good dance and someone's throwing cleavers at you. It's definitely not cool at all. Mid lane, we've got Overpower playing Pantheon and Xpeke on Orianna, who's got a much more grateful dance than the troll, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Overpower doing the 300 taunt. I think to summarize this game, so far, neither team wants to give up objectives or kills early, and they're playing super defensively.
Again.
BM scumbag Soaz.
But look at this. This could be something to get into right now, because we see Reckless and Yellow Star actually moving up to that death rush once again. The ward going to be getting cleared out, and Fnatic start to move down towards the blue buff. Guys, we're just trying to keep the tension up here.
We are, definitely. Potentially coming back with a dance-off once again. We'll see who's got the best moves. But I think what this is reminding me of immediately is how Alliance started the previous game. Alliance started out, however, they had the sweeping lens on their support as opposed to the AD carry. And I think because both teams weren't expecting it, it didn't play out as effectively. Right now, though, Fnatic a little bit more coordinated. I don't want to say too much more because we do see Van has got his headset off.
Yeah, actually having problems this time, not with his with the chat box, but actually his monitor itself just turning off, which, just like his chat box, is very relevant to how he's going to do in this game.
Yeah, hopefully it's a minor tech issue that we can get resolved quickly, because I think, as you rightly said a few moments ago, that this is the matchup basically of the day to determine who claims first place, who can rightfully hold onto the lead for at least this game, because Fnatic, of course, will be playing another matchup later in the day, 3 this week, so a lot of pressure on them to perform.
Yeah, a lot of pressure. And I think these are the kind of weeks where you can really solidify your position. I mean, just look at Fnatic, 5-0 so far. They have to play 3 this weekend. If they can win all 3, it puts them so far ahead of the pack that they'll be feeling safe. But you mentioned earlier that that can sometimes come back and cause you problems if you get too overconfident.
Yeah, that air of security, it's a double-edged sword. Yes, it means you can afford to lose some games and not get caught up, but on the same token, it could give you a psychological boost that maybe overstate sometimes.
So we're back into game, guys. ROCCAT versus Fnatic. The blue buff going to be kicked off here and stolen away by Fnatic.
We can only apologize, guys. There's nothing more that we can do right now. Advantage Fnatic, I guess. There's not much more to say. We can't really summarize a steal outright.
Yeah, I'm trying to actually look over whether the blue buff on the other side was stolen. Can't quite see.
The pause, I actually think it's alive. It's to the right of the pause box.
Ah, there it is.
Hiding in the brush.
Hiding in the brush. So
yeah.
ROCCAT didn't take the Fnatic blue buff right now, and Cyanide is hanging around there, just to give you a bit of an update on that one. As Peke actually just going to have a bit of a restart here and then get back into game.
Peke's looking quite serious at the moment.
And rightly so. This is the game so far. I mean, the top 2 teams, the winner's going to go into first place, or stay in first place in the case of Fnatic. This is certainly a big one, because if these 2 teams are to stay at the top throughout the entire season, the early win gives you a lot of momentum, a lot of confidence, I think, going into the next games that you're going to have to play. Obviously, everyone plays each other 4 times throughout the spring split.
Yeah, definitely. And considering that they have 2 more games this week as well, taking a loss to the most hyped up match definitely could be a detriment to Fnatic for the rest of the week. It does look like we're theoretically back in game, and we'll see how long this lasts.
I'm feeling it this time, so that's good. Jankos actually coming across here, and actually Soaz and Yellow Star stealing away the Wolf camp as well. We can see that ROCCAT definitely going to be wanting to take this blue buff away with Jankos, the jungle Gragas, in this one. So an interesting little start to this one. Buff's going to be exchanged around, and that will leave us pretty much even, all said and done by the end of it.
The one thing that I like about the decision from Soaz to help that counter jungling is that he's going to get a little bit of CS, a little bit of XP, and you can see he's even teleporting to this bottom lane, so he's going to be in range for most of this wave's experience, and he's going to farm quite effectively with that infected cleaver. Should be slightly better. He's the one that actually got the blue buff for Fnatic as well than Xaxus in that top lane.
And that's going to allow him to spam those cleavers all the quicker. Xaxus, as you said, in that 1v2 scenario on ROCCAT side of things, up against Reckless and Yellow Star. A bottom lane pairing that's been as effective, if not even more effective, you're maybe going to argue, than the ROCCAT pairing in the bottom lane. It's, well, really anyone's game, I think, from what we've seen so far. One thing that we do know, though, is that Jinx with Reckless is so far unkillable. Not one death playing that champion.
And there's two things that I like about Fnatic's lane swap right now. Oh, they've already jumped on Pecky in the mid lane.
Yeah, actually getting stunned there, taking the turret hit. Does he have enough damage? Jankos is actually coming around the side, but we are going to see Cyanide coming in there as well. Spear will knock him low. Command protect. Oh no! The Q missing there from Cyanide. Here comes Jankos from the side. He's going to take a lot of damage. Yellowstar flashing in for the stun as well. Jankos goes down. First blood comes in. It's Annie that picks that one up. Cyanide waiting for a bit more and Overpower. What a start!
Even better for Fnatic. The 2v1 not only prevents Reckless and Yellowstar from being shut down by Celevan Vander, it allows them to keep Xaxis on the back foot and respond to the early aggression. Fnatic may be anticipating that ROCCAT were going to try set up kills, respond effectively, Yellowstar grabs first blood, and now he's a double buff Annie. Gonna make Xaxis' life a living hell.
There is the cup just coming up there and not going to bother Yellowstar. He wasn't even in turret range from that one. So a very, very interesting start to this one. Hopefully going to be continuing along in that form. Right now we have Celeber in the lead in terms of CS between the two, simply because Fnatic did have that little bit of an engagement going on in the top side of the map. Xaxis going to be taking a lot more damage here from Yellowstar, but this bottom turret, again we see when a lane swap comes in, this pairing in the bottom lane doing well to take it down super early. 5 minutes not even on the clock as that one goes down.
Yeah, and remember, you know, once the damage reduction on the mid and top towers came in, the bottom towers lost that bonus armor, which is why they get taken down so incredibly quickly. I like the fact that ROCCAT have at least responded with the global objective. That was the risk that Fnatic was willing to take to have their 2v1 in the top lane and have that additional support for Peke. As soon as he realized he was being ganked, he ran to the support of his duo lane. It worked out for them, but we'll have to see how Celevan Vander respond to being freed up from that bottom lane right now.
This mid lane, Overpower way behind on the CS at this point and not able to pick up that kill onto Peke earlier, really costing him here. But ROCCAT in position for that dragon. They are spotted by a ward though. Fnatic might look to try and get in and contest.
Yeah, Fnatic are going to be well aware that ROCCAT like the dragon and ROCCAT like to challenge for dragons. So we'll see how Fnatic decides to fight this one out. It's most likely going to be a 4v3, but ROCCAT are losing a lot of HP. Dragon's poking them down, and so is spamming out those cleavers from the sides.
ROCCAT, yeah, backing away from that one in the end. And whilst they had that man advantage, they've taken quite a bit of poke. Better off playing it safe at this stage of the game, that's for sure, than making those big, risky plays. There we just saw Jinx and Reckless doing a great job to keep up with CS. This turret looks like it might fall, if not this wave, then in the next one just after that. But they've done a great job considering that top tower is stronger than the bottom one to follow just 1.5 minutes later.
Yeah, very nicely done. I think there was a very little support here for Xaxis in the top lane. So he was just sitting as far back as possible. Now he has been freed up a little bit. If he plays the wave management correctly, he can farm a little bit safer and play a little bit deeper in his territory. And it does look like he's going to be trying to manage this wave as best as he can.
Yeah, we'll get that one. Actually, the bottom lane of ROCCAT, after taking that turret, have decided to stick down there in that bottom lane, which will put them up against Reckless and Yellowstar, who are now headed in there as well. So as still on that bottom lane as well. If we look at the AD carry items, both of them getting in that BF sword already 7 minutes in.
The kill potential is with Reckless and Yellowstar though. The burst damage from Annie plus the Super Mega Death Rocket execution is superior for getting kills. So Celevan Vander have to do a very good job of landing a lot of poke down before they can commit to a death sentence kill. Now, thanks to the kill advantage and the numbers that Fnatic have right now, they should be able to pick this dragon up uncontested, because ROCCAT simply are too far spread out. Jankos is way up in the top lane. Even though Grand Skyfall just became available, it would have been too late anyway.
Would have been too late, and you have to feel an almost certain death as well for Overpower without his flash if he'd have dropped there into that dragon pit. So that puts Fnatic now 2,000 gold almost in the lead, and they're going to start some pressuring down onto this bottom lane. There's a teleport actually coming in onto the top, just to stop Xaxis doing as much damage onto that top lane as he would have liked. Still, about a quarter of its health gone though.
Yeah, a fair amount of damage, but I think very good play from Soaz. Once again, just playing defensive duty, trying to hold on to the objectives and, you know, get XP and farm. He's got 10 CS ahead, and we see that with the dragon sitting in the side of Fnatic, they've got a 2,000 gold lead. We need to keep tabs on this mid lane though. Overpower is down a massive amount of CS, 33, and thanks to that first blood fail that Overpower is unable to secure. It's just allowed the ranged poke of Xpek's Orianna to keep Overpower on the back foot, playing very defensively.
Let's see what Jankos can pull into this one now. Got his ultimate available, and we can see already that damage pretty high from those barrels, but there is a Shockwave actually coming out from Peke, and he's baited out that ultimate there from Jankos. Shockwave going to be not available for the meantime, but we'll see how that works out if they do end up getting into a fight in the near future. That bottom lane also just having a bit of damage exchange, but overall pretty passive stuff.
It's quite interesting that Peke decides to throw the Shockwave down. It's around about a 2-minute cooldown at rank 1 and without any CDR with him, whereas Jankos' explosive cost is about 1.5 minutes. And the reason I highlight the numbers is in that small window of like 30 or 40 seconds, if Jankos responds with Overpower, they may be able to actually put some kill potential on Peke. You see Xaxus just throwing down that Subjugate, getting some HP and tankiness of SOAS.
Yeah, speaking of Xaxus, actually going a different build than we saw from Darien in that last game. He, of course, went into the Tiamat and Ravenous Hydra first of all. Looks like we're going to be seeing a more standard build here for Trundle into that Blade of the Ruin King first.
I love the fact that we have a standard Trundle top lane build. It's a nice addition to the top lane champions that we've been seeing. You know, when he gets that Blade of the Ruin King, which gives a lot of attack speed, and he throws down that W, the Frozen Domain, it gives him a lot of attack speed that helps him wave clear, but not necessarily as efficiently as the likes of that Tiamat into Ravenous Hydra. So we'll see if Xaxus decides to go Spirit Visage off the Blade. That's the 100% normal build for him.
Okay, at this point, as we saw him clearing out more there, he's got almost double CS. In fact, it's pretty much perfectly double the CS of Overpower right now, and we can see that just that ball in there right on top of Overpower, slowing him down, doing good damage as well as Cyanide came in towards that bottom lane. Stood on the trap as a hook comes through from Vander. Oh, there's a flash. Tibbers coming out. They're going in. There's a man drop coming from the top side though. Overpower goes on to Cyanide. That's going to get them a kill back there. One apiece. But Fnatic might be in trouble further. Vander is chasing out. Overpower decides not to go in. Meanwhile, Jankos throwing his ulti in the mid lane. Crazy stuff going down again.
Yeah, it's bloodthirsty supports. They've gone in on Jankos.
Oh, SOAS can't tank things up there though, and they thought about going for it. I think wisely backing away. Xaxus was coming down as well. But a crazy little fight going on to that bottom lane. A flash in with Yellow Star with Tibbers. He actually picked up that kill as well. He's now 2-0.
I am ecstatic that we talked about Vander and Yellow Star in the pre-match because it's the two of them that are making the impacts right now. Yellow Star's stun initiation allowed Fnatic to at least pick up the kill, but they didn't have the damage to shut down Vander before Overpower could respond. So, a nice grand Skyfall from Overpower. Now they're going to try jump on Pick. He's out of mana.
He's out of mana, and there's a flash in. The stun did go down, but have they got the damage? Ignite is ticking away. Subjugate was down. Xaxus picks up the kill.
Great combination. The Ignite damage over time plus the Subjugate damage over time allowed them to secure that kill. It does go to Xaxus, which is good and bad for ROCCAT. If Xaxus can get more tanky and be more disruptive in fights, it means the slightly weaker Overpower has more time to kill people. But I feel like they want to try get some kills to Overpower and Celiva because without them executing members of Fnatic, it's going to be difficult for ROCCAT to close out.
Look at that, Cyanide on top of them in the mid lane, and they do not care whatsoever. The Troll and Pantheon in there, able to pick up that kill, but Xaxus getting stunned here by Yellow Star. Good pillar going down, and they won't be able to walk off. That is just knowing your power and how much Cyanide can actually do to them in that scenario.
And even better than that, not only did they, deal with Cyanide efficiently, Overpower is using his passive, the Aegis Protection, I believe it is. Whenever he uses his W, the shield stun, or he gets a number of auto attacks, he can block the next auto attack. He actually blocked, I believe, 2 turret shots during the course of that little process. So very good mechanical play from Overpower to give them their second tower of the game and stay within 1,000 gold.
Jankos actually going onto their blue buff right now, which is going to be going his way, or not. Overpower's actually coming across the side from this one, so he's going to be getting that one, just leaps in, and SOAS comes down just to check, and he's going to have the timing on that blue buff. Overpower did manage to dodge his cleaver in that top lane. Actually, SOAS doing a great job with his Mundo, 93 to 70 CS. He currently leads that lane.
That's basically stemmed from the very early game, where SOAS was able to get that early CS lead over Xaxus, having the blue buff, spamming out those cleavers, and then teleporting top. He's still got his tower to defend, which is working in his favor. But I think the roam from Xaxus to help out a kill in the mid lane is a little bit more impactful. You can see SOAS still 0-0-0. His teleport, other than getting to lane and stay relevant, has not actually had an impact for Fnatic to give them an advantage.
ROCCAT are all up in Fnatic's jungle right now, though. We can see the wards coming in, Dragon up in 5 seconds. Who's going to have the position on this one? Top laners both have teleport. We'll see if they actually do anything about this one, whether they're brought into play.
Yeah, 2 reasons. ROCCAT loves to challenge for blue and Dragon, and they've caught Cyanide. They're going to go in.
They are going in, and the hook actually coming down. Ace in the hook goes through, but it's not enough damage. Oh, but the man drop's coming in. Cyanide, oh, he's out of range. Cyanide walks out of the man drop, and that is going to put Overpower in a horrible position now. He's sealed off to the side. Reckless and Yellowstar pushing down, nicely dodging the slow there. Will jump over to the minion, dodging the auto attacks as he goes, manages to escape. Meanwhile, ROCCAT did Dragon.
Very well played by ROCCAT. They get themselves on the board as far as Dragon's concerned. Even though the Skyfall didn't secure a kill, it would have helped them to pull the members of Reckless and Yellowstar away. So ROCCAT basically secured that one safely. I love the play, and it's ROCCAT playing to their strengths. The thing is, it's a little bit readable. If they're gonna, the next time Dragon comes up in blue, ROCCAT will challenge for it. Xaxus just throws down Subjugate. Peck is coming in from behind, and there's a teleport now. He's going to get away.
Like, what's that? 3 of you coming up to me? I'm just going to teleport back into the base. No worries. Stay safe. But that leaves them without a teleport. Dragon's only just gone down, though, so they may be feeling that's quite a fine trade for them. He just picked up that Blade of the Ruin King as well as he got back off in towards his base. Caitlyn also going to be headed back. Celiva currently sat with a Bloodthirster. We'll see what he adds in on top of that one in a second, but SOAS, as you would expect from that Mundo, just continues to push straight down that top lane.
So I want to talk about how this game's played out so far. Fnatic gains an advantage, ROCCAT responds, but Fnatic doesn't actually challenge ROCCAT, First blood secured by Fnatic, ROCCAT grabbed the tower. Dragon secured by Fnatic, ROCCAT respond by invading blue, taking a dragon of their own. It almost looks as though Fnatic are trying to avoid straight-up fights right now. And we'll see if they continue to try that strategy as we get now to the more roaming stages of the game. But as it stands, ROCCAT are doing well to not let the lead get too far ahead of them.
And it's interesting because ROCCAT's team fighting has been absolutely sublime in the games that they've won so far. Only 1 loss, of course, up until now. Manda and Celiva once again going to be matched up here with Reckless and Yellowstar. Yellowstar running with those rings around him, boots and mobility as well. Just makes you completely scared at this stage of the game. He's already at 2 for 0, and look at this, a Fnatic hit squad coming down bottom.
They want to get that fairly squishy tower that ROCCAT has left standing. Remember the last time there was an engage here, Yellowstar did go for that Tibbers engage, and we did see a Grand Skyfall from Overpower, but I don't think they have enough members to contest. That's a 4 team of Fnatic, and wisely for ROCCAT, they back away.
Yeah, backing straight away from that one. SOAS actually going to TP into top lane as well. They've lost absolutely nothing from doing that one, to be honest. SOAS leaving his lane, but gets back up there just in time to see things off. Jankos is going to spot that Fnatic team moving upriver. I was going to say he doesn't want to go too close to Yellowstar there with that stun up.
I actually think Jankos was trying to pull Fnatic to him. We did see Vander moving up from the tri-bush, and if Fnatic had gone for Jankos, I think ROCCAT could have surrounded them. Once again, the tank battle and just bashing away as best as they can. No teleport for Xaxus this time. We'll see if he can get out cleanly. I think he should make it.
Yeah, I was going to say, the entire team of Fnatic is coming around. He's like, well, this is going to be an interesting one. Good flash from him, though, with a Lee Sin Q lands a stuns in there, kicks him back, and it's like Pekka, I think, with an auto attack in the end that picks that up. But look at this, typical ROCCAT going for a push in the middle now. Yeah,
they have the numbers advantage. Fnatic put so much into getting a kill in Xaxus, they didn't comprehend where the rest of ROCCAT were. If you look at Fnatic's vision, they are going to at least trade. In a top turret should go down in favor of Fnatic, but the rest of ROCCAT are on the mid inhibitor turret. They've got Pekka!
They've caught Pekka, and actually he's going to fall. He's not going to get away from that one. It's the barrel that gets the kill, and ROCCAT here surely going to pick up that turret, and that is a great finisher from Reckless, able to get the kill with his super mega death rocket onto Vander, but they've lost an inhib turret and taken only an inner in the enemy top lane.
Definitely worth it for ROCCAT, knowing that there's an exposed inhibitor. If Fnatic make a misplay or a mistake in a team fight, ROCCAT are going to have free access to get on that inhibitor. And I think seeing how Fnatic played that game, seeing how they invested so much in killing Xaxus and then going for the tower, I actually think I'm quite confident. Fnatic are a little nervous about team fighting right now. They've got a good combo if they can land some, shockwaves and tibbers on ROCCAT. I don't think they can run scared like that anymore. They need to try and challenge ROCCAT, beat them in a straight-up fight, and then take objectives.
ROCCAT, I have to give so much credit to them for how fast they react to things like that going on. That's something that I think that's got them this far in the first place. The fact that they've been so well coordinated that when a call comes in, they seem to move lightning fast and carry that one out. Top laners getting back together right in the mid. As they started 18.5 minutes ago. Oh, that's actually not so true because it was a 2v1 at the start, but
13 minutes ago.
You get the point. Top lane as it is.
So two things that I want to touch on right now. First of all, 3 sweeping lanes is on the side of Fnatic. They want to get vision control back in their jungle, and they've got a lot of defensive wards you can see from Fnatic in the entrances to the blue and the red buff. Knowing Dragon's coming up and knowing blue, you know, that ROCCAT likes a challenge for blue, I think Fnatic will be looking to gain vision superiority in that section of the map. In addition to that, Teleport is closer to becoming available for Xaxus. So in this next battle, I actually think Xaxus will have that TP available to get involved in that Dragon engage.
That Dragon is coming up in 45 seconds time as Overpower actually going to be dropping in there into the enemy jungle. Interesting move from him on that front. His ward actually cleared straight out by Reckless. Able to pick that up with that lens that he has. Meanwhile, ROCCAT pushing that bottom lane out as well. We can see that Xaxus and Soaz having their face bashing competition, and ROCCAT are looking for complete control on the side of the map where that Dragon comes up in less than half a minute.
They know it's coming up, so what ROCCAT want to do is shove the wave up to the tower, force Fnatic to maybe respond to the tower, and as Fnatic group at the tower, ROCCAT can then start off that Dragon. You can see Reckless is doing the best he can to shove the wave out, and very smart play from Soaz and Yellowstar to roam down as it gets closer to the Dragon spawning. Knowing that Soaz doesn't have teleport means they have to be in position. The hook doesn't catch this time. Vander just missed one.
If they can hold it actually back from this one, it could be interesting because the top lane being pushed out here by Xaxus. Fnatic on this Dragon. It's going to be down to less than half HP as well. Barrel goes through, but it's picked up. They threw everything at that one, or at least Jankos did, throwing his ultimate in there as well. Top turret was taken, though, as a reply by ROCCAT.
So that's really interesting. ROCCAT invested so much into positioning for Dragon and then took red buff for Salivar instead of going for the fight. So Fnatic get the Dragon, ROCCAT gets the tower. Still, objective gain for one team, instant response from their opponent. And as it stands, ROCCAT now got a nice wave pushing in the top lane. Overpass seems to be moving into challenge for this red. And Cyanide, I think, with that ward, realizing he's in trouble, decides to back away. ROCCAT have got a lot of members collected, and the hook catches Cyanide. They're not going for a fight just yet.
Yeah, actually Cyanide was low there as Overpower is going to be dropping himself out of it from this one. And there is actually a shockwave going down onto Xaxus, but honestly, that really didn't do a whole lot.
Didn't work in his favor. Saliva's able to split push this bottom wave, and once again, going to try and get some damage in the tower. Actually backs away, realizing that Fnatic are now going to pull a bit of a ROCCAT move. They've got the numbers advantage and they're pushing middle. But thanks to the wave clear that Gragas offers, he's got a death cap already built. It's going to be quite difficult to stick to this tower if you're a member of Fnatic.
Yep, and they reply by just moving out, checking what's left in the jungle. Is there a blue buff available to steal for Peke? They'll scan out the wards by the Baron as well, but in the end, not really too much offered up for them. Saliva also coming back out. If you look at the items between those AD carries, fairly similar. I think the only difference is really a longsword between them and the choice of trinkets.
Yeah, I actually think they've been staying even for a very long time. Every time one of them upgrades an item within like 30 seconds, it gets matched. The biggest difference is in the supports. Thanks to Yellowstar having those 2 early kills and having about 800 gold ahead of Vander, he's upgraded to the Boots of Mobility, and he's actually gone for those Distortion Tier 3 upgrade. So the Flash Tibbers is something he wants to be doing much more frequently. Xaxus has picked the fight, and Soaz is now in trouble.
Oh, a lot of damage coming in out there with Jankos coming in as well. Will Soaz be able to heal through this one? And actually Cyanide coming around. Soaz up to half HP already. Jankos going to go low. That's a brilliant barrel, but will it keep him alive? Xaxus trying to block the Q here from Cyanide. It's not got the range now, and at least they get away from it, but ulti's being burnt left and right.
Yeah, and that was a misplay by Jankos. He started the fight without having enough mana to throw down the explosive cask. So unfortunately, when Soaz was low, they couldn't knock him back and get those last ticks of damage. So a little bit unfortunate for Jankos. He did, however, manage to get some mana back from that Drunken Rager. Saliva's going to get stunned.
Yeah, there is the stun, and actually Tibber's going to come down late from that one. An interesting choice to combo that one up for Yellowstar.
Yeah, he opted to go for the guaranteed stun, throwing out the Disintegrate, the Q from Annie, it would track even if Celavar had flashed away. So I think Yellow stopped playing it safe, not necessarily getting the big burst of Tibbers, and then of course, once Celavar knew the flash wasn't available, he could flash out cleanly. So not too bad, flash not available. If Soaz Cyanide get on him while it's down, it's going to be more difficult for him to survive.
That's it, exactly 1,000 gold difference between these two. And actually, I say exactly, ROCCAT is still clawing that one back ever so slightly as well. And let's have a look down the items here once again. We can see that the overall gold, we look at the top lane, very, very close. The jungle, there's a 2,000 difference actually between Jankos and Cyanide. The CS difference between them is actually quite incredible at this point, but that's also because when Gragas comes into a lane, he's got brilliant wave clear and he's going to do that naturally as time goes on.
Yeah, because Overpower has been struggling against Peke, Jankos has been covering a lot of the lanes and taxing an excessive amount. All of the CS that Overpower's basically been missing out on has been grabbed up by Jankos, which is why he's got his Source Shoes as well as that Death Cap built up. What I do like from ROCCAT is that, you know, they've got a lot of damage that can come from multiple sources, and even though it's the jungler picking up the CS, it's on Gragas. It's not like a Lee Sin who becomes a little bit more utility the later the game goes. Gragas is always going to be able to kill people, and if he goes like a DFG next, he may even be able to pop targets.
Let's see, the AD carry is actually choosing a different path. We mentioned a couple of minutes ago that both had a pickaxe and a zeal in there, and it's interesting to see Celavar actually going for that last whisper along with his zeal on the other side. Phantom Dancer finished off for Reckless before he goes towards that last whisper.
What I like about the build from Celavar, that sort of Legolas build which has been coined, his Piltover Peacemakers now have even more wave clear, a lot more damage, and very importantly, the armor penetration for the ace in the hole. If you combo that with a burst from Gragas, if somebody doesn't die, you have the potential to just snipe them off and then chase for a further team fight. So I quite like the itemization. He's still got the zeal for some attack speed and crit, and I think he's probably going to go static shift, get even more wave clear for both defensive and offensive purposes.
This top lane Spirit Visage is now done for Xaxus. On the other side, some Fire Cape, Spirit Visage, and getting up towards that Randuin is Soaz, so he is incredibly strong. We saw in that last fight where both Xaxus and Jankos were having to go at him, that his ultimate just keeping him so healthy through that one, that he was able to survive and almost turn that fight around with Fnatic. And we'll see how that one develops. Cyanide is actually moving up towards that top side of the map as well. Jankos having pretty much the same idea there of getting those wards down on Baron, and that pink ward's going to be spotted, funnily enough. Could work out better for ROCCAT.
It's quite scary that Soaz is getting this tanky, knowing he's against a Trundle, because Trundle with that ultimate is going to be able to steal about 40% of his armor and magic resist. And on a tank like Mundo, losing that immense amount of armor and MR makes him more susceptible to be focused and actually killed if he's caught a little bit out of position. But you see Xaxus and Soaz once again going head to head, look for the subjugate, that's when the fight will turn in Xaxus' favor.
Decides he doesn't fancy it this time around, as we are going to see Cyanide get in there. They get the kick back onto Vander, and he is going to fall from this one. Peke picking up the kill without the need for the shockwave. Simply caught. There is the shockwave actually coming in. Celavar desperately low, but now the rest of the team coming through. Barrels rolling in. Yellow Star blocking the ace in the hole, and Fnatic get away. Super close that though. Yeah,
very importantly, Jankos held on to the explosive cast, decided not to do it, and I like the fact that Fnatic picked the fight as the dragon was, available. They secure that one, knowing that ROCCAT are underpowered, low on HP, and they couldn't challenge for it. Very good play, and that's now given Fnatic that 3,000 gold lead. We'll see how ROCCAT decide to respond.
Well, so far it's been let them have a dragon, take a turret. Problem is, once you've already got those outer turrets down, it becomes a lot harder to bring that one up, and we see that Soaz just stopping Xaxus pretty much before he even gets to the outer turret area of the map. Reckless going to get himself the red buff, and now Cyanide is going to be coming in onto this one. It looks like they might go for the fight here. Fnatic Xaxus down to half, and there is the Skyfall coming in. Soaz falling low. There is the Subjugate going down. Have they got the damage here to finish off that tanky Mundo? He's trolling them there through the brushes, and Overpower's had to flash away. Soaz at half HP just walks on off.
Very good reactive play from Fnatic once again, starting the fight. We actually seen just before that Reckless was starting on the red buff, and we've seen Lee Sin moving towards the top lane. Jankos still holding on to that explosive cast. I'm almost wondering if he's a little too hesitant to throw that ultimate down. There's one or two opportunities that he could potentially have used it up until this point, and deciding to play it a little bit safer. So Fnatic still holding on to the kill lead and the gold lead. They are one tower down, however, so we'll see how well they siege up because there's great wave clear. They're chasing on Jankos.
And actually there is going to use his ultimate finally, but Cyanide chasing him through the wall. There's Tibbers, there's the shockwave, and that's a nice pick from them. He was trying to clear out the pink ward. Fnatic didn't want to let it happen, and with a three-man team like that both can chase you and CC you all day, it's not easy to get off. Yeah,
we did see Yellowstar using the coin as well, just to dive in there. I always forget the name, Talisman of Ascension.
There you go.
Throws down the Talisman of Ascension. We see Cyanide chasing up with that safeguard as well, and just Fnatic finding picks. Fnatic are once again demonstrating they're not too keen on the 5v5s, but they don't need to, because they can find single targets, kill them instantly, and then rotate around the map as and where they need to.
Yeah, and the longer this game goes on, the easier it becomes to follow up from one of those pick kills as well. We see that Overpower getting himself that blue buff, actually going for a Warmogs in this one. So he's got that last Whisper and got the Brutalizer in, and he's now pretty tanky as well. One thing I just want to note, if you look at the trinkets here, a vast difference between the two teams.
4 sweeping lenses on the side of Fnatic, and I think it's because Fnatic are aware that they need to have vision control to avoid Grand Skyfalls, to avoid being jumped on by Trundle or Gragas, and we see them using those sweeping lenses to clear out, like as you can see right now, around the Baron pit. Most likely when the next Dragon and blue buff is going to spawn, we'll see them clearing those out as well. So I really, really like this play. It works for holding your position as well as playing aggressively. And we also see another Distortion Boots upgrade, this time for Peke. He also wants to flash away safely, get that cooldown reduced to prevent being killed by Gragas or Pantheon a little more often.
Well, things again being reset in terms of the lanes there. Almost all of them in the midway point of the map at this point. So see how that all continues to develop again. The big tanky guys at the bottom just playing a tug of war almost of where those minion lines stay out. Not so much different in the middle as well. Peke right now is farming up a bit of a storm. This, however, is somewhat different. Fnatic starting off with Sneaky Baron.
Very cheeky, and they're relying on the damage of Reckless's Jinx to take this one down. Tibbers is even being thrown in to tank up some of Baron's attacks. Cyanide still tanking up a lot of the damage, and this is such great play. Using the sweeping wards, ROCCAT have no idea that it's going on, and there's so few champions that have that range. Skyfall comes in, and that's too late. They realize too late.
Yeah, more of a man flop, that one, Overpower, I'm afraid. And going to clear out the pink ward just a little bit too late. That's hard to say about that one, but you know, that was just such great play by Fnatic. As you said, using those trinkets, making sure that they have full vision control, and then picking it up sneakily. ROCCAT not even able to contest it if they wanted to. There was no one around there. They had no vision. They didn't know it was going on.
No, and it's not what you think is going to happen. When you can see Mundo on the map, the person who's most likely to tank a Baron, you don't think of Jinx using that rocket launcher and her switcheroo Q to use the range. You know, we haven't seen her in competitive play that often. So a great combination between the Lee Sin and the Jinx. And even more impressively, at level 11, the summon Tibbers is about 100-second cooldown. It's actually lower than before. So throwing Tibbers in there for some extra damage and tanking ability, very, very good decision making from Fnatic. Now they've got Baron and all the sweepers. They can now siege and use that range of that switcheroo on Jinx to get as much damage on these towers as possible.
This will be interesting to see how ROCCAT are able to defend up these turrets. And now with that clear of the Gragas, who's now got a Void Staff in there, as they are going to see the hook onto Peke, but they don't follow it through. They don't think they can fight this one. That turret down to half HP, and despite having Gragas there to wave clear, they're able to push through this one. Fnatic take it down to half in just one wave.
I actually think it's smart because they've got 3 melee champions, Gragas, Trundle, and Pantheon. If they'd all jumped onto Peke, it lands them up perfectly for a Shockwave and a Tibbers combination.
Yeah.
So I think that was quite smart by ROCCAT. They cannot afford to give up an inhibitor though. So if a hook lands now, this is most likely where they're going to need to try to go follow it through and actually grab a kill. Not on Cyanide though, they want to get most likely Jinx or Peke down as quickly as possible.
Well, Soaz just continues to walk in there. He's not really taking any damage at this stage from those turrets, especially with Command Protect on his head as well. We see that ROCCAT just starting to back off. Soaz tanks it up again, and he's probably asking Reckless, you know, are you going to get in there? Whoa, Flash Tibbers coming in up towards Jankos. Whoa, whoa! Lantern taken from Jankos to get away from The Super Mega Death Rocket, and Soaz is going to fall, and that is the beastly tank. ROCCAT might like to go after this one now. Skyfall going to come in. Can they catch anyone? Oh, at the moment, Overpower gets shocked, stunned as he comes down, but they still continue to chase. Flash from Zazas gets the slow onto 3 of them. Have they got the damage and chase to follow this one up? There is Bandit getting in there, but there's the shockwave from the side. Are they turning this one around? They get one of them. Overpower's going to fall as well, but it now leaves Peke with Jankos coming in as well. The hook misses. Peke's still alive and still doing masses of damage to his opponents. Will he be able to finish off though? There's the command protect. Speeds himself up as well, and Peke is on the run at this point. You can't imagine that he'll get away from Zazas. Not now, as the hook comes in, but he's still alive. Almost gets Vanda. The shield will keep him up. Wow, Peke, I don't know how he survived that long, but he did, and it's 4 kills. Actually, it was an ace overall because Yellow Star went down first.
Yeah, Command Protect blocked so much damage, and we talked about how that Subjugate steals the tanky stats from Soaz. Look at Soaz now, and watch as Zazas comes in with Subjugate onto him, stealing all of his armor and MR, and that's what allowed them to focus Soaz down and chase him out. Instantly throwing Subjugate out. I mean, it's very seldom you see a Dr. Mundo just get popped like that. I almost wonder why Overpower didn't use a flash stun earlier. He gets caught out by a good stun from Yellow Star. He has his flash available, and he's got his Aegis of Zona. And the rest of ROCCAT continue to chase down. But I think the real story of this fight is Vanda landing a very good play, Celabar maybe being a little antsy, flashing forward for that. And so many command protects from Peke, just constantly giving him, you know, that damage shield, that bonus armor. And when you've got mostly just auto attacks coming from Trundle, bonus armor and shield's definitely going to help you out.
I'll stand corrected on that one as well. I thought actually that Yellow Star died earlier than he did, but in fact he actually survived that one, coming from the back. Peke, you have to give him credit here, staying alive for so very, very long until that hook finally really caught him. Almost took down Vanda in the end, but that was 4 kills coming out from him, and Fnatic going to be feeling the pressure now again.
Yeah, the thing is, the gold is still only 3,000, but with so many people dead, the Baron buff is now gone. So Fnatic actually started sieging very early on in terms of their Baron cooldown. They still had an inner turret to push in the bottom lane, opted to go straight for the mid lane. And I guess the team fight backfired. You know, they thought they were stronger than they were. ROCCAT had a very good response, and you see how powerful that Grand Skyfall is. Once Fnatic are retreating, Pantheon just cuts them off, and you can have Trundle chase them down as well. Also keep in mind, Trundle did all of that with tier 1 boots. He still hasn't upgraded them or got any additional movement speed. He's just relying on that frozen domain, his W, to give him a nice chase potential.
And doing so well with it as well at this point. ROCCAT is still pushing up and putting some pressure down towards that middle lane. In the meantime, Soaz, who will be wondering exactly how he died quite that fast with all that MR armor, tons of health that he's got, to be honest. Somehow died in it, but the blue buff again, this is something that ROCCAT have done consistently in their games. They're going to steal away another.
Going to secure this one for themselves, which I like. In terms of itemization after these last few fights, Void Staff has been picked up now for Jankos' Gragas. So if he gets onto Peke or Reckless before Command Protect is down, it's going to work well. Vanda, Death Centers, they've got Reckless!
They've got Reckless, he's down to half HP. The ace in the whole block there, and the shockwave will only pull in Jankos, but he's finished off here. Peke picks up that one. There is Soaz doing the damage on towards Celabar as well. He was going to cleanse away, but they can follow in on this one. Celabar surely going to die. His shield keeping him alive for quite a while here, but they stood on top of the lantern, stopped him getting out to Vanda, and that is now 3 kills for nothing. Fnatic in a great position here.
Yeah, once again, Jankos didn't throw down that massive ultimate onto Reckless instantly, and the Mikhail's Crucible heal from Yellow Star actually kept the Reckless alive. Vanda's taking them on a wild chase, but Fnatic have already got the top inhib turret.
Vanda's still alive from that one. Overpower actually trying to stop them take the inhibitor here, and he's doing some good damage, and he's damn tanky as well. And he manages to repel them, funnily enough. Nice play out of Overpower. Vanda, by the way, is still flying around the map in the bottom right-hand corner and staying alive. There is the finisher from Peke. It only took 2.5 days.
That's incredibly important to note, because if Soaz and Peke had not been chasing Vanda down and had been with the rest of the team, they maybe could have got that inhibitor themselves. Instead, they were chasing Vanda, and now, knowing that Reckless is going to be dead for the next 30 seconds, there's a tiny opportunity for ROCCAT to rush Baron, but I think actually the time is going to be too close. Probably wise not to go for it right now.
37 minutes into this game, and it's exactly what we were looking for. for the top place clash here in the LCS. ROCCAT are actually moving towards it right now. They want to make sure that they've at least got vision down. Last time their vision was cleared out and they ended up losing this Baron for free. They're going to start it out. This is so interesting. Cyanide's at the back there, so they know that Fnatic are around.
Yeah, the rest of ROCCAT are getting into place. Vander's not there, and Reckless has just respawned. If anybody goes low, Super Mega Death Rocket is potentially available. There is no flash for Yellow Star either, but the coin is there. Can Cyanide steal?
No, he can't. ROCCAT picked that one up, but can they continue here with the fight? Soaz is in the middle of them. He's going to get subjugated, though, and he sticks to Celiva, who flashes away. Soaz now being very, very low. His ultimate running, though, as he tries to get away, and he squeezes by the pillar. Celiva got too close, gets hit there with the cleaver, but the box slows the rest of the team down. Cyanide follows through, but onto the tanky man Zazas, and here comes the man drop as well. Ace in the hole goes through. They focus onto Beke. He pops the Zonyas, but he's going to go down straight after. That's one man down now for Fnatic.
That's two.
Jankos makes it two. Can they get any more from this? I think Yellow Star and Soaz and Reckless are too far away from this one, but that's the 2 for nothing.
I cannot believe ROCCAT pulled that one off. They get Baron, they peel from Baron, they get away, save Salivar's life, and grab themselves 2 kills on top of it. Now with the Baron buff, in addition to the gold that they've picked up, even though they're 3,000 behind Fnatic, the gold statistics will actually even that one out. And I love the way ROCCAT are playing these team fights. Overpower's using his Grand Skyfall at basically the perfect time. He's pulling Fnatic towards him and forcing them to deal with him, which means Fnatic can't chase down Celiva, who's the threat.
Well, let's have another look at that one here. We saw Cyanide pushing right into them. We can see if we look at the minimap exactly where Overpower started, right in the mid lane.
Yes, you know, Overpower comes in from behind, and Soaz was so focused on getting Celiva down that he actually left the rest of his team. So by the time he's now joined this fight and become somewhat of a threat, it's basically over. And while we've been watching this, the middle inhibitor has been secured. ROCCAT grabbed that for themselves. They also took the top turret, and they are now in a commanding position with super minions in the mid lane. ROCCAT are now, they've wrestled control back of the game, I would say for the first time in 40 minutes.
Yeah, they are still behind in gold at this point, but that's not really mattering. We're seeing there that they can team fight just as well as Fnatic can. There's going to be a blue buff here going on towards Overpower. Baron buff is at halfway through at this point. And we saw how Overpower just ripped through Peke there with that black cleavering, with the last whisper, and he's tanky enough with that Warmogs. Right now, though, Fnatic moving towards a dragon.
So I really want to highlight the fact that Soaz has now grabbed himself a Thorn Mail. And the reason I think that's very important, Pantheon is basically auto-attack based. Caitlyn, she's just a right-click bot. And Trundle is reliant on multiple auto-attacks to get his damage down. If Soaz is able to stay alive long enough and keep the attention of ROCCAT, that is a lot of additional damage being returned to the ROCCAT members that could help him be even more of an impact in the course of these fights. So I think that's a very important thing to note, and we'll see how effective it is for Soaz as these next fights break out.
What are they going to do with the rest of this Baron here? Jankos pushing that mid lane out. We saw down in the bottom of their own jungle, Celiva was just taking all the farm that he could, and well, there's a blue buff up for the taking. As a Golem dance for you, and Jankos is going to go through from this one. Fnatic nowhere near him. This is another blue buff controlled out by ROCCAT.
And with all the minions in the bottom lane, ROCCAT can now actually start to siege themselves. They can try to push that inner turret on the bottom lane out, knowing that Overpower can respond with Grand Skyfall if a fight were to break out. So we'll see if Fnatic can defend this one. They've set themselves up a death bush, but I'm sure ROCCAT will be aware of this. Yeah, they're not even moving up the lane. I think everybody's seen this from Fnatic. We've seen this movie, we know how it ends.
Yeah. Zaz's not scared to do the white though. Right next to him, but quite happy to do so. And they have to move back here a little, Fnatic, because Overpower, he is pushing these lanes up super quickly. He's added a Tiamat now into his arsenal. That's going to aid that even further. Zazas actually is still there, but are they going to go for him? That's a big hit coming out of Orianna. The hook landing on towards Soaz though. He's actually got a Thorn Mail now, but we can see how quick they're hammering him down. Shockwave hits nothing. That's crucial here.
Subjugate was thrown onto Soaz, but he's forced to run away. We did see that Overpower continue the split push, and Jankos taking a massive hit. Peke is shredding HP bars. If he does get a good attack and distance, look at Celiva. That's half his HP gone.
Ace in the hole coming through, and actually with the shields between them, barely does any damage. Here comes the Skyfall. They're going to get on towards Peke. Is he going to get away? Gets stunned, but actually using the Zhonya's there. Cyanide gets away. The barrel comes in from the backside. That's forced them off, but Soaz teleporting into this one. Will they keep chasing? No. Fnatic happy with pushing ROCCAT back.
And once again, Yellowstar saving the life of a teammate, throwing that Mikhail's Crucible onto Cyanide, mitigating the CC, which allowed him to safeguard to a teammate. Didn't get caught by those Flame Chompers, because I think if he had, it would have been enough time for ROCCAT to pick up a kill. Even though a lot of abilities and ultimates and spells were used during the course of that fight, ROCCAT come out in the win because they got the tower, and now they've wrestled control of the tower lead.
Got down some of the items here as well. We see that Mikhail's on both sides of things. There's a Quicksilver Sash in there as well for Celeber. They know how important getting out of these crowd control effects will be once we get to the log-ahead stage of this game, where they both just bash heads, and that may just be when the Baron comes up. 1 minute and 45 seconds until that gets into place. Both teams already jostling for position around that Baron area and getting their wards in early.
And at this point in time, Reckless isn't going to get much more powerful as far as damage is concerned. He's got himself that Zephyr built up, he's got his IEs, Phantom Dancer, and I know I make it sound negative, that's a lot of damage, but he's already working himself towards potentially a Banshees, I would imagine, mitigate like the instant burst or the stun. We'll see if he gets caught out. He's got about 372 base movement speed, so the melees of Pantheon and Trundle should be able to run him down if they can get to him. So we'll see how well Fnatic can handle their positioning in these fights. And remember, Reckless's 2 deaths on Jinx have now been in this game. These are the first deaths that he's had on this AD carry the entire split so far.
Yellowstar, though, keeping that tradition somewhat alive. He's 2-0-8 with Annie. Got actually, I think, the first 2 kills of the game for Fnatic. Obviously, the first button, that dive down on the bottom tower. Can see that Fnatic at this point just scanning out their own jungle, checking out where ROCCAT are, making sure that they're not setting up a trap for them, which could be disastrous at this point. Vander has got the pink ward down into the Baron pit, so they can clear any vision that Fnatic throw down. Fnatic have to make a play to get rid of that pink ward. I
also think that the way Fnatic have started the fights in open ground has been superior to ROCCAT. Fnatic have caught ROCCAT out, chased them back, and while retreating, ROCCAT have decided we can re-engage at this key moment, and that's allowed them to basically win these team fights. We'll see if it plays out that way with Baron, knowing Xaxus isn't there.
Yeah, but his teleport is up there. Soaz can't challenge him at this point. So let's see how that one works out. The Skyfall is maybe not even going to be needed. He's here, Overpower already moving in towards position. Fnatic have Soaz to clear out this pink ward right in the middle of it. Big tanky Soaz, as the Baron actually is going to start his attacks on him because of that Sunfire Cape. And he will actually take more damage than he'd really bargained for in that position. We can see that he's backing away now. His teleport's still not going to be coming off cooldown. And we can see that Xaxus is still pushing bottom.
I think that's because somebody has to deal with Xaxus. Because he's got such great dueling power, Xaxus is just shredding this tower. Wow. Soaz is going to not be back in time. Tower's going to drop.
Soaz is going to be coming back in there. One more chop will finish it off, and that is an inhib turret. Another inhib turret taken down. That's 2 wide open inhibitors for the taking for ROCCAT. And they can still put this pressure down towards Baron. Soaz still doesn't have that TP.
If ROCCAT can pull Fnatic towards them and be 100% sure of Fnatic's positioning, they could potentially use that man drop from Pantheon to get to an inhib. We do see Overpower's in trouble. He's being surrounded by the members of Fnatic, and we'll see if he can go down.
That's Talisman actually coming in. There's a lot of crowd control, and that is the kill. Will Fnatic now use this 5-on-4 advantage in a 70-second death timer to try and go for this Baron? We can see that Xaxus still going in. Celeber in the mid lane getting completely caught out. Can't see him escaping from Soaz with those cleavers coming in. Good flash from him there. The rest of the team coming around. There is the lantern. And I said I couldn't see it, but Celeber proving me wrong. Gets himself away, but Fnatic have already started Baron. It's already down to less than half.
Yeah, there's no vision here for ROCCAT either, so they don't know how quickly it's going to go down. Secured by Fnatic. Xaxus is now under a little bit of pressure as he's being caught out by Soaz. There's no ultimate available though, and he's just going to teleport out to safety, get himself back to his inhib. Now Fnatic all of a sudden, they take the lead with the Baron buff, with the gold lead. And my word, we have had a fantastic game so far.
And it's not even getting close to being finished yet, I think. Although Fnatic might prove me wrong with this one, still 15 seconds left for Overpower to come in. The problem is that they've taken a long time to clear and push those waves back on towards ROCCAT's side of the map. By that time, Overpower's going to be back in here, but they, of course, have the advantage. of that Baron buff. Will they be confident enough, though, to teamfight? Because that's not something that they've really been actively looking for the entirety of this game, almost.
And it didn't work last time. When Fnatic had the first Baron of the game, they sieged up the mid turret, and Soaz just got melted under the tower. That Subjugate stole his armor, the rest of ROCCAT focused him down, and without that super tank of Mundo on the front line, Fnatic couldn't win the fight. So Fnatic may be a little more hesitant to go for a straight up siege, and I think the bottom inner turret should be where they set their sights. Go for the objective that's available, so to speak, and then try to get on inhibitor turrets.
So we saw the first blue buff in what feels like forever actually being picked up by Xpeke on his side of the map. We can see there the Banshee's Veils being pulled in by Lee Sin. Mundo's got one, Jinx has got one as well. So they're protected from basically the hooks coming out from Gragas able to, you know, knock the few of them back. They need to get rid of those Banshee's Veils before they even think about having a fight.
Luckily, having Gragas on the side and the range of the Piltover Peacemaker from Caitlyn, I think they need to get those spells to land, then immediately initiate. And I think very smart play here from Fnatic. They set the siege up in the mid lane, knowing teleport's available for Soaz. So gonna play to their strengths, use the summoner spells they have available to them. And because the top lane's exposed, oh, Overpower's going on yellow!
Whoa, yellow star down to half health there, and Paul coming in to protect him a little bit too late. This has allowed Soaz to get in onto the bottom inhibitor. The inhibitor, of course, is open in the top lane as Celibat starts to work his way in. Cyanide taking a lot of damage. Pillar comes down. They can't chase through. Banshee's Veil did get popped by the Piltover right at the end there. Now we have Pantheon moving down to that bottom lane. Because Xaxus doesn't have that teleport available, it's got to be Overpower who has his Skyfall able to drop down in case a fight happens.
And of course, with that Ravenous Hydra, he's got a little bit better wave clear against the melee Mundo. So as it stands, Overpower is defending that tower well, but Fnatic can continue sieging. They've got about a third of the time left on this Baron buff, and they're going to stick around in this top lane for now. Banshee's Veil has come back up for Cyanide, so they've got to pop those Banshees and then look to initiate. Let's see if Pekka can get a nice shockwave as well, because that's how Fnatic are going to win those fights.
Well, there is the ball going in. You don't want to throw it down onto just Xaxus though, and Fnatic continue to push in towards that in him. We see the hits coming out from Celibat. A hell of a lot of damage right now. Will they be able to pull through? There's the hook, actually landing onto Cyanide, but have they got the damage to take him down? No, and they don't want to commit to it either. Lots of traps coming in, which mean they've got to commit to jumping on them, losing out on those Banshee's Veils. Reckless getting caught out. That's a lot of damage from Celibat as we see him kicked out into the rest of the team. He's going to 90 caliber net back. There is the super mega death rocket. He can't finish him off, but the cleaver from Soaz will. There is Vander as well going low. Overpower getting underneath his turret. Can Fnatic do it?
This is definitely enough for them. They've still got their AD carry alive, and it's a 70-second death timer. 5 versus 4, and it's going to be up to Jankos and Overpower to stop this from happening.
Have they got the damage here from this one? Soaz still very tanky. Jankos going very, very low. First Nexus turret has gone down. A hook comes in, but it's on towards Soaz. Here comes the drop from the backside on towards Reckless and Xpeke. It's going to be Peke that's focused down. He will die actually in that one, but Overpower will fall straight after as well. 3 men left alive here for ROCCAT, but they're surely not going to be able to hold out. With Reckless going in there, Fnatic finally finish off the Nexus, and after 51 minutes, go still undefeated at 6-0, taking down ROCCAT. But what a game, Trevor, what a game.
Non-stop action once those initial towers have fallen down. Fnatic managing to catch Celibat out, and I think if you have to call somebody out for ROCCAT, Celibat was a little bit out of position multiple stages during the course of that game, and Soaz, he made a beeline for Celibat as well as Cyanide, kicking him back into the team of Fnatic. And great play, an extremely exciting game, and I think ROCCAT, even though they didn't win, they've definitely shown they're a contender.
A contender indeed. I mean, 51 minutes to lose like that to Fnatic, where, you know, the Baron, it was all working against them towards the end, but we saw before that they still could win those team fights. Just want to look at some individual scores from this one. 6-5-7 on Peke, had some great shockwaves in there, over 400 CS. Reckless on Jinx, 325, 540 CS he ended that game with.
Unbelievable, still averaging more than 10 a minute basically. Just more than 10 a minute. And Reckless did very well. I think he didn't get caught. I think that's one of the key things. Yes, he died in some of the fights, but Celibat was like flashing forward into a shockwave and being a little bit out of position in some of those fights. But Cyanide again, he had the kick that caught Celibat in the final fight. Once Celibat went down, they could just barrel through. That constant 80 damage wasn't there to scare them away.
What did you think to the whole picking idea from Fnatic in that one? Because they spent a lot of time actively avoiding those team fights.
I really feel like they did. I really feel like Fnatic decided they didn't want to go into the team fights. And I'm going to be honest, I think ROCCAT did better team fights. I feel that for the majority of that fight, ROCCAT won 6 of the fights, Fnatic won 4 of them, right? If you want to break it down that way. And I think Fnatic played it perfectly. They had a composition that could find single picks. The cooldowns weren't necessarily killer, especially like on Annie's Tibbers, which gets lower as she levels up now. They found the kills and they held the game. They stalled till they were comfortable enough to pick that team fight they could win.
I said in the pre-game that it's hard to find fault with Fnatic. Can you find fault with them after that game even? I mean, they lost a couple of team fights here and there, which happens to the best of every team, but as far as playing that strategy that they went for, actually was pretty much flawless as well.
I really can't. I think you've nailed it. I think they played a passive pick style, even though their champions weren't necessarily 100% pick-oriented. But they played it. They got dragons. They took dragons from ROCCAT. They had dragon control for the first few minutes of the game. And I think that was a clear, concise, intelligent decision. And it's something no other team has managed to do to ROCCAT during the course of the split.
Well, guys, an amazing game, that one. It's time for us to take a caster cooldown, but stay tuned to hear from Science.